Hey guys, Pastor and Coach Gene McIntyre here, proud mama, follower of Christ, attorney, life and executive coach, trainer, and all that good stuff. I come to you as very good news. This is breaking news. The judge has finally ruled, and Larry, Kate, and Summer Shiflett have been designated as victims. Whether Kobe was a victim or not, he had already been designated a victim. These people were in question. I don't know why, particularly Larry and Kate Woodcock. And the defense argument was that because they Kate's brother had given JJ in adoption, that took away all the rights that Kate would have had. The judge came up with a quite creative argument, if you ask me, because what he said was that although the woodcock didn't meet the definition in the standard sense of the word, that because Lori was JJ's mom and she is the person being allegedly accused of the crime, and his dad is no longer alive, that he was going to designate Kate Woodcock as JJ's representative. And the same thing with Summer Shiflett, that she would act as Tylee's representative, as her auntie, since neither her dad nor her mom are able to represent her, being that her dad is no longer alive and her mom is sitting accused of murder, of murdering Tylee, as a matter of fact. And so, in a very creative way, and as always, I believe that this is mostly about keeping the record secure for appeal purposes, keeping the record clean, ensuring that the decision and the trial are not overturned on appeal. The judge came up with this kind of like split the child in the middle. Well, not really. Like, he ruled in favor of victims and in favor of the defense. And it was the right thing to do, right? Like, can we agree on that? It was the right thing to do. I think that the judge needed to rule, and although I appreciate the creativity, I also believe that he could have based this decision just on pure common sense. um, these kids' parents cannot look out for them because one was murdered and the other one is accused of murdering the other parent. And the closest thing that these kids have to relatives, whether they are immediate relatives or not, are the Woodcocks and Lori's sister. So I think that the judge ruled correctly. And as of 2:36 today, it looks as if they do not yet have the 42 jurors. I think that is probably because they are probably everybody is thinking about the holiday. Uh, you know, um, Friday's a holiday, and so I stand corrected. I had hoped that by this morning they were going to be done with juror the first voir dire section of juror selection, and that this afternoon or maybe mid morning they were going to be doing the hat 42 and have the defense and the prosecution strike 12, which will leave us with 18 jurors. And of those 18 jurors, 12 are the active jurors and 6 are the alternate. But it looks as if we are going to push things along to next week. But I wanted to jump here and give you good news. These are good news. I think that sometimes it's very sad when the legal and what's just don't come together, and we see a lot of that in our regular legal system because it's an imperfect system, right? There's only one perfect system, and it's not being established by humans. And so we see a lot of times that things happen and you're like really upset because it was the legal thing to happen, but it wasn't necessarily the most just thing to happen. But in this case, Judge Boyce found a way to make sure that the legal requirements match the need for justice. And I think it would have been a great disservice. Now, Josh didn't talk specifically about Larry. I mean, obviously, he did say that Larry was not um, an immediate witness, and so what's going to happen with Larry is that if if the if the prosecution wants to call him during the case in chief, which is what you call when the prosecution presents his case, then they can call him early on, and provided he's not subject to recall, because sometimes you can call a witness and they're done, but their testimony is such that it is perceived that maybe throughout the trial there may be a need to call him back to be recalled, and if that's the case, then he would be precluded from sitting in the audience. But the bottom line is, if he gets called early on and he is not subject to recall, then he can testify as a person, and then he can just sit in the rest of the trial. Now, the prohibition of people that are going to be witnesses and that they are not allowed to also sit through the trial only applies to testimony. It doesn't apply to anything else. So, for example, like nothing would have precluded, and now it won't preclude Larry and Kate to sit in opening and arguments, right? Whether defense or, because that's not witness testimony. But now, with this decision by the judge, uh, Larry, Summer, and Kate can sit in as representatives of JJ and Tylee, respectively. Obviously, Colby was always designated. The Daybell family is not going to be there. It really doesn't make sense. Why would they sit in Lori Daybell's case, or Lori Vallow's case, when she had just married their dad? I don't even know if they're going to sit at her dad's trial, to be quite honest with you. But the bottom line is, Larry and Kate and Summer get to sit in, and I'm very happy about that. I think it's the right thing to do. And so it looks like we need to wait till Monday to for a final resolution on the juror situation. Again, the idea is for them to reach 42. I would be surprised if they don't try really, really hard to get that done today, at least having the 42, because then the when the defense and the prosecution start striking different to what has been happening this week, they don't need to provide any reason, right? This week, in order to eliminate someone, they had to argue it, they had to present justification. Next week, by law, they are entitled to do 12 strikes, and they don't have to justify why they're striking them. And so, that being the case, I do believe we can count on opening remarks, opening arguments to start early next week, hopefully Monday. It's been way too long. Tylee, JJ, Charles, Tammy, they need justice, and it's time for this case to get going. I don't know if I had mentioned it to you, but I've heard that Charles, that Chad Daybell's attorney, is sitting and intends to watch the whole trial. Talk about a competitive advantage. And the competitive advantage means that he is going to be able to see all the holes in Charles' testimony, in their theory of the case, and then he's going to be able to apply and to take special precaution in Chad Daybell's trial. And so it's just extremely interesting. And yeah, absolutely. And as I did, I think earlier today, I posted something about the Letitia Stouts case, which I cannot afford, don't have the time to watch on a full time basis. But I certainly want to make sure that I touch on specific things here and there. And man, the opening arguments, particularly as it related to the defense, were so weird, so strange. So if you haven't taken a look at that, please do. And I think that's it. I always say that these videos are not out of 5 minutes, and I always end up more like almost 9. And this is the longest yet. Good news, Larry and Kate Woodcock get to sit in. So the Summer. It's only the right thing to do. They are this close, and I believe that before the day is over, they are going to have their 42 euros, which will allow for the strikes. And then on Monday, we should start at some point during the day with opening arguments. And so next week will prove to be very, very interesting. This is the Holy Week, and this is Easter weekend. And I don't know what your faith affiliation is. As you know, I'm a lover of God and Jesus. And so, from the bottom of my heart, happy Easter to all of you that embrace the Christian faith. I pray that this weekend will be a weekend full of faith and love and power, and a reminder of the amazing sacrifice that made it possible for us to stand before God today. And if you do not practice any faith, then accept my best wishes too. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend too. This is it, guys, and this was the first week of Lori Vallow's trial. I'm glad that we're doing this together, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye. This is Pastor Jenny signing off. Take care.